in here.
Dee Marie, what project you're doing? Dee Marie, do you have your project?
Oh, what do you got that? Take that off. Yeah. Well, take it off. I'm having a hard time moving it for some reason.
Okay, let's see. Record to cloud.
I don't know what to do. I think I've done it a few times.
Cynthia, it's delivering a speech with purpose.
Purpose. Okay.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club, Presidents Distinguished. If you are a guest and you don't have a G in front of your name, please do so now. And if you are a participant, if you have a role, please put that in front of your name. Club mission: we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the club founder of Leaders Worldwide, Cynthia Stott. Over to you, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. This is Sally. I'm at Sally's house this week. Great. So welcome. So glad you're here. And we're Leaders Worldwide. We're welcoming you as a guest. We have a lot of guests today. I can't see the guest. So Isaac, if you could tell me who's a guest.
Okay, let's start off. Well, Taz is a guest. Taze is a guest now, but he'll be a member.
Yes, woohoo!
So
Isaac,
welcome.
you want to introduce yourself? So glad you came.
Who, me?
Yes, just a quick introduction.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Toastmaster Taze from the Caribbean. I'm also a president at my club. I'm happy to visit you guys, and I'm happy to even be a member in the future. And I look forward to rubbing shoulders with you guys, learning from you all, and an overall positive experience.
Yes.
Great,
That should
thank
be
you.
it. Yeah.
And we have Michael Robinson.
Michael, would you like to introduce yourself, where you're calling in from, and why you came here today?
Good evening, fellow toasters. Michael Robertson here. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm just checking out your club because I saw it on Facebook tonight. Thanks for having me. And I'm in 3 clubs.
Oh my goodness.
And I put it in Michelle's chat.
Great, thank you. And then we have guest Lunim. And I know I probably messed up your name, but I'm sorry for that.
It's okay. A very good morning from Malaysia to all of you. My name is Luim. It is a simple name. Just pronounce it as it's spelled. Okay, so I'm always a guest in any Toastmasters club that I join. So I'm happy to be here this morning with all of you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And then we have guest Zandushin. I know I messed it up also.
Hello. My name is Toastmaster Zainuddin of Calicut Toastmasters Club, District 121 of Toastmasters International from India. I am very happy with you. Thank you so much.
Zainuddin.
Glad to have you here. And next, moving right along, we have Denise Godwin. Denise, would you introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I too am in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm grateful for being here. I am a member of Toastmasters. I am a member of Find Your Voice Toastmasters Club.
Awesome. So you know Dee Marie.
I do know Dee Marie, yes.
Awesome. You're here to support her speech tonight. Great.
That is correct.
We're giving our contest speech. Me, Dee Marie, and our first speaker, Michelle Peticolis.
Great,
Great.
thank you. And the last guest I would like to introduce, well, let you introduce her, is Sabari Musa.
Yes.
Sabaraya.
Hi,
She's
it's
our
me.
Zoom host, master.
I'm from Malaysia and I'm here again to visit because Cynthia has always been sending information about the meeting. So yeah, this morning I'm free. So I'm here. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. We're so glad you're here. Awesome. So without further ado, well, this is our Black History celebration. We also have another theme, but it's also, this is Black History Month. So we're celebrating Black History Month. And do we have Seema aboard?
Much.
Isaac is going to be Isaac. Our wonderful Isaac is helping us out again, and he is going to be our Toastmaster of the day, and he chose the theme Black History Month, and he's going to be giving us a little information this meeting.
Awesome. And without further ado, our Sergeant at Arms and Toastmaster extraordinaire, Isaac Ford.
Great, thank you for that, Cynthia. And yes, I chose the theme Black History Month, since that is what February is. So I thought I would just kind of give you some information or some names that maybe you haven't heard of, and hopefully you will after this meeting. So the first person I'd like to talk about is Shirley Ann Jackson. And Shirley created or started the touch tone telephone. Jackson was the first African-American woman to earn a doctorate in nuclear physics at MIT. And experiments paved the way for the fiber optic cable called ID, portable, fax, and the touch tone phone. That's just one of the many Black creators that you may not have heard of, but hopefully you've heard of them now. So without further ado, I would like to bring aboard our general evaluator, and I appreciate the fact that he stepped in at the last minute, and that is Taze. Taze, would you introduce yourself and tell us what the GE does?
Good evening, everyone. I am Toastmaster Taze, and my role for this evening's meeting is the role of the General Evaluator. As the name suggests, I will be pretty much the Chief Evaluator for tonight's or for this evening's meeting. I will have the opportunity to provide an evaluation of pretty much every single person who speaks tonight. I will take note of where things could be improved, and I may even provide suggestions as to how things can be improved. Also, as the role of the General Evaluator, I also should have the opportunity to introduce the various role players we will be having in this evening's meeting. May I ask, am I doing that right now? Would I be calling upon the timer to give, would I be doing that now? No.
Yes, you will be doing that now.
Right, okay. So I'll take this moment to let the various role players inform us as to what their responsibilities will be for this evening's meeting. So I will call on our grammarian. Could you give us your report, please?
Thank you. As grammarian, I get to listen for the ums and the ahs and remind people if they use it too often, they could readjust their thought about using spaces, and in place, just silence or a pause would be more useful. And I would like to pick out any interesting, unusual words that have a dimension, and we could use them more in our own language. And also our word of the day is authentic, or authentication, however you wish to choose that word, is the real thing. And authentic stability in speech is what we're after. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sally, for that Grammarian report. Now I'll call upon our counter to give us their report, please.
That's Sally
That's
too.
a grammarian.
You're both roles.
Okay, yes, we also have the ums, the ahs, buts, ands, and unnecessary words which cause us to get distracted from what we're delivering in our speech. So we kind of try to put these funny fillers in and they don't really work. So we try to get you aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sally. Now let's turn the virtual lectern over to our timer. Could the timer give us their report, please?
General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My role today is that of a timer, the purpose of which is to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly according to the agenda and it finishes on time. My role here, part of it, what I'll be flashing to indicate the time would be a green that you can see behind me. And it will appear according to the particular segment that we are in. It could be the speech, it could be the table topics, which I will indicate later. After which I would flash the yellow one. And finally, the red one. And you're given 30 seconds after the red flashcard to wind up and close the speech or table topics, whichever it may be. I also have my hand raised here, which means I believe that all of you will be able to, speakers will be able to see me right up front. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mary, for that timer's report. Now could I call on our Zoom host to give us a report?
Oh, well, at this time, actually now it's going to go to the Toastmaster, me. So I will start the meeting off with the most important part of Toastmasters is our speeches. And we have 4 speakers today. So we should have quite a few good speeches. First off, I would like to bring up the evaluator for our first speaker, which is Dee Marie. So Dee Marie, would you give us the objectives of Michelle's speech?
She simply just emailed that to me and I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I'm going to be taking copious notes and I will follow the dictates that she has in her evaluation form that she has sent me. She didn't know that I was going to be her evaluator, but I'm going to pay particular attention to every nuance that she has so that I'll be able to do a very strategic evaluation. Is that fair, Michelle?
That's perfect.
Also, Dee Marie, you can read the project and the objectives in the agenda, and I'll post that again for you. But go ahead. I think your ideas.
Yes, actually, I could read those. Understanding your leadership. Share some aspects of a chosen leadership style or leadership styles in general. Discuss styles preferences when working with others. How to adapt the chosen leadership style to situations or leadership styles in general, and how they impact a group. Michelle is going to be representing Leaders Worldwide in the International Speech Contest. And she is muted, so please unmute yourself, Michelle. And now I would like to introduce Michelle, and her speech title is Being Worthy. Being Worthy, Michelle Peticolis.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Isaac, would you put your hand up if you can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Maybe you can't hear me. Is my speak?
Sorry, I can't hear you without my headphones on.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Have you ever felt unworthy, unwanted, not good enough? I did. Yes, me, PhD, best-selling international author, award-winning filmmaker, distinguished Toastmaster. Are you surprised? What do you think motivates high achievers? Fear of feeling worthless, and maybe not enough love in childhood. Maybe you think, what's the problem? Look at all that you've achieved. That is the subject of my presentation today. Because what I was not a leader. Everything I did was the opposite of leadership. A Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. This is my journey of going from feeling worthless to loving and accepting who I am, essential for being a real leader. It began with my PhD. I thought my PhD was my ticket to worthiness. I asked my dad, Dad, what do you think of my PhD? I'm so ashamed. I never finished my BA. Was he struggling from worthlessness too? Then I asked my boss, Dave, would you introduce me to social services as Dr. Petcolis? Why don't you tattoo it to your forehead? Was he feeling threatened by my accomplishment? Or was he just being a jerk? Then my husband left me for another woman when I got promoted and he got fired by the same jerk. Well, I don't know what that was. Midlife crisis? 7-year itch? I was furious. I just quit everything and ran away to a spiritual community where relationships and work don't matter. In reality, I traded my husband, my boss, and my dad for my spiritual teacher. I did everything he asked. I promoted his workshops. I edited his books. I videotaped his dance shows. I became indispensable, my best tool for proving my worth. Adnan, my teacher, was a shamanic drummer. Boom, tacky, 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 boom, tacky, 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 boom, boom, tack. Dancers from all over the world came to his workshops to learn to dance from spirit. I wanted to be one of his dancers, the apex of worthiness in his world. But most of the time, I was out in the audience videotaping the other dancers. My costume danced in more shows than I did on somebody else's body. But then one day, Adnan took away the camera, gave it to somebody else. Now I could be in his shows, on the sidelines with the other wannabes. But little by little, I got to dance with fewer and fewer other dancers until finally, at one Christmas workshop in New York, I got my first solo for about 90 seconds. But it was a start. And then he came to me and he said he wanted me to come to his show in the Bronx the next week. Did he want me to videotape or to dance? I brought my costume along just in case. But when I got to the location and looked around, I realized that all the dancers were from his A-list. I asked him, Adnan, do you want me to dance? You could dance. With misgivings, I put on my thin silk skirt, my belt, bare belly, bra, naked shoulders, and went out into the auditorium, frigid. Videotaping, 1 hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours. When I saw the dancers getting up for the second time, I knew he had forgotten me. Tears streamed down my cheeks, smudging my makeup, dropping on the camera. He must have sensed my distress because a replacement came out soon after. I walked slowly to the stage, like a prisoner going to the gallows. I got on the stage. I couldn't dance. Have you ever frozen at an important moment? I was mortified. Adnan sent out the rest of the dancers and quickly ended the show. We all loaded up into the car of the only male student there and headed back to Manhattan, stopping on the way at a market. Everybody got out of the car except me and Tom, the driver. Tom turned to me and said, you know, you really are a good dancer. His words broke me apart. I cried my heart out. Tom said, why don't you come to my class next week and dance just for yourself? And so I did. And it was glorious. I felt free, connected to my spirit, connected to myself. I even liked dancing. I made up my mind that from then on, I would not allow others to decide the value of my dance. I would dance for me. And wouldn't you know, next time I went to Adnan's workshop, he invited me to dance in the show and gave me a real solo. There is a lesson in this. Stop seeking the approval of everybody for everything I do. Do what you do because of passion, because of who you are. Adnan often said to us, do your own creative dance. And so I do, both literally and figuratively. It's the best practice I know for being and loving myself, and the first step to becoming a leader. And now I help others to find and love themselves. What about you? Are you basing your worth on the approval of others? My advice? Do your own creative dance, whatever that is, as though your life depended on it and your leadership, because it does. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that, Michelle. And now at this time, we're going to give 1 minute on the clock to evaluate Michelle's.
our Toastmaster has a question about who our next evaluator is.
Okay, Michelle, thank you. So I would like to bring up our second evaluator, Michelle. Michelle?
Thank you, Isaac. I am going to be evaluating Rosalind Kahn. And the purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic after she has already received feedback about an earlier speech. This she is going to apply to this particular speech. Now, Rosalind, I don't think I got your notes about what your former feedback was, so I will just have to wing it.
I'll go ahead and tell you. They wanted me to change my introduction and they wanted me to give more details.
Okay, I will look for that.
Great. Okay, Rosalind Kahn is an acclaimed TV host, publisher of numerous books. She's a DTM, speaking out of Strategic Relations Level 1, Education of Speech. The title of the speech, Beating the Odds to Survival. Beating the Odds to Survival, Rosalind Kahn.
Oh my God, did you hear that? They're showing live, coming up on television right now. It's going to be Connie Chung interviewing Rosalind Kahn. And the cameras are rolling. Oh, cut. There's emergency. Ashley Shepard has just been found. They found. We'll have to cut to the story and get back to you later. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a fantasy. This is the reality. I, Rosalind Kahn, am a teacher, and I'm going to tell you about the battles of education. We're going to start back when I was a wee little preschooler to my advance in education as a teacher in the elementary, and finally going to the teaching in the college. So here we are. It's back in preschool. They said that I was just a quiet little girl, and I got so anxious and sad when people didn't include me in their groups. And then suddenly, one day, I went in the circle and they said they couldn't keep me quiet. It's amazing. I ran into my third grade teacher recently, and she said the same thing. Rosalind is just a sweet, kind little angel. I don't know what could happen. I got involved in elementary education, from preschool to elementary education. I was a third grade teacher. I love children. They are my passion, my heart, my joy. I mean, still to this day, I remember the little girl who came into my office. It was office hours, and her parent was there, and she said, "My daughter is the most evil, cruel person." Now, she was Asian. She was like that quiet little me when I was a little girl. And I said, "Let me just ask one question. Can you tell me what's happening in your home?" And she said, "My husband, he left me." And I said, "You see, what's happening to your daughter is she's responding to the negativity that she sees all around her. And as a third grader, that's the only way that she can respond." Well, one day there was another incident. I was lining the kids up so they could go out to recess, and they wouldn't get in the line. So I simply put my hands just like this. And the stories they told, they said that I grabbed the student's arm and they were marked black and blue all over. And there was another child in that school that if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have been in the gifted program. I don't know what they did to that boy, but he told them that I put the marks in his arms. And so what is a teacher to do? They sent me out to purgatory. Yeah, they sent me to a building, to an office where I'd sit and measure paper clips and write to 50 million people around the world and ask them, "Could you please write a letter on my behalf?" And when they did, and my meeting finally came, I went up to the superintendent's office. He looked at me and he said, "I don't know what these people are talking about. You seem like an honest, hardworking individual. Dismiss." All right, I'm great, I'm wonderful. Well, I don't teach elementary school kids anymore. I teach college students. They can leave whenever they want. Well, I have a problem. I'm kind of strict to the line. I want everybody to be on time. And when they come in late, I've got a problem with that. I mean, don't you know class starts on time, just like Toastmasters starts on time? Well, they came late and I said, okay, I'm going to give you an extra credit assignment. In this extra credit assignment, what I want you to do is just write a letter to the president. You all know, if you write a letter to the president of the United States, he simply says, thank you for your response. He doesn't say, you're an X or that party. And once again, just like the kid in the arm, they said that I said that if you weren't of my political affiliation, that I wouldn't accept it. No, folks, they were just being late. So once again, they send me off and my name was everywhere. I'd come home from school one day and there's my name on television. They yanked me out of my office in one class at Pasadena City College. And they said, are you doing the same thing here, Rosalind? Are you scrutinizing your students? And I said, no. You know, it's actually a Marine sergeant in my class. And I am so proud that he is the person, the last one that they see when they leave Camp Pendleton and go out to the forces. Then they pulled me in the office at LA City's College. They go, you wouldn't believe these crazies that are calling about you, Rosalind. I don't know what they're talking about. And the union person said, Rosalind, it is your right, it's your obligation to do as you please in your classroom. So fast forward to the mediation file because they threw it out of court. And I came there and they say, I'm a damn good storyteller. Don't you all agree? Well, they said that I had told such a great story that the guy decided to award me. So the moral of the story here is, if your heart and passion is teaching those students, whether it's that kindergarten kid who's quiet and shy, whether it's that person in third grade who gets kicked out, whether it's the college students, teach your passion. And so today is President's Day, and I, Rosalind Kahn, spent 3 hours on the phone talking to my students, helping them figure out where does a thesis go in a speech, because that's what's really important in giving a speech. So hopefully, you know that my thesis that I was talking about today in giving the speech was how I survived my battle of education from that preschool, third grade, all the way to college, and I'm here today. Madam Toastmaster, thank you very much.
Great, thank you for that, Rosalind. So now, timer, would you put 1 minute on the clock to send your evaluations to our speaker?
Okay. All right.
I believe that is probably 1 minute. I'm not sure. But at this time, I would like to bring up our GE. Taze.
Yes,
would
thank
take the
you.
podium?
Thank you, our host of our host of this evening's meeting. I'll now take the opportunity to call on two evaluators to evaluate our first two speeches. So could the evaluator for Toastmaster, Michelle, could you take the virtual lectern and provide us with an evaluation?
Yes, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you, General Evaluator. Michelle Peticolas gave us a very rousing presentation of being worthy. She made us all want to feel worthy. Her vocal variety was excellent. She used the voices of her dad, her boss, her instructor, and she used the voice of her spiritualist. Even the man who finally said, "Come to my rehearsals and I'll let you dance by yourself," which gave her that feeling of total freedom. Her hand gestures were absolutely great. She had facial expressions as she came close into the screen to tell us exactly what was on her mind, and then she backed away. She offered to change from what she wanted to do to dancing, so that she would be in a position to discover herself. But her real goal was to be a solo dancer, and she worked hard to accomplish that. She was engaging the audience. She had good questions and gestures for the audience as well. Can you see yourself in this position? Have you thought of how to do that? All of these things were making the audience think about what she was doing. And her call to action was to tell them, you don't have to do what everybody tells you to do. Be yourself and do what you want to do. If I were to give Michelle any stretch goals at all, it would be to use the pause effectively. 3 specific instances where she started to say one thing and then continued on and said something else. And I think that if she had paused before she went to say the other thing, the 2 sentences would not have seemed as though they were run together. That is the only suggestion that I could make. I enjoyed the speech. She was so full of animation. It was engaging. It almost made me want to learn how to do the dance. I just can't see myself with that skirt and a bra and everything else being exposed. But it gave me the feeling that maybe that's where I can find my self-esteem, because she was so emphatic that you can find your self-esteem and feel free when you do that. So I loved your speech, Michelle. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that evaluation, Toastmaster DeMarie. Now I'll call for the evaluation of our second speaker, Toastmaster Roslyn. Could the evaluator for Toastmaster Rosaline, could we get the evaluation for our second speaker, please?
Thank
you.
Roslyn, you certainly took care of the comments that were given the first time around. You got a lot of great detail. But let me start from the beginning. Great opening. What an awesome opening image of you being on Connie Chung's show. And then it got snatched away from you, I believe, but I was having trouble following that. I'll just talk about that in a minute. Excellent stories, great, vivid details. You show at the very beginning how kind and caring you are as a teacher, with the example of the little girl whose mother thought she was a demon, and you explained to her that it was the loss of her father and the negativity in the home. Whoa, great. And then you go through 2 particularly disturbing examples of how these kids misinterpreted or redefined what you did in a negative way. And you gave great details, like the thing where you were like isolated in a room with paper clips. I think did you use the word purgatory? It sounded like purgatory to me, right? You were off in purgatory, right? Great visual image. And the paper clips, excellent detail. If there was any advice I would give you or suggestion, it would be to slow down, which of course we all need to do. But you had at least 30 seconds. You didn't even get to the red. You had time to slow down. And you had so much detail that it was hard to pick up some of it because it was so quick. I mean, I felt like I was back in New York City. Anyway, the other thing I would suggest is to maybe have a little bit of vocal variety by actually reducing your examples and having a conversation between you and somebody, because you have the space in that for the stories, and that will also slow you down and help you to use your gestures in an actual interaction. It doesn't have to be long, but that would be another suggestion that I have. Slow down and maybe create some interaction in your stories, but great stories, vivid stories. Oh, and one more thing, globally, I feel like you suggested something about the problem that teachers face today in terms of the empowerment of students, that they can take you down. And what can people do about that? And how are other teachers out there in the world facing the kind of same situations that you've faced? And in mentioning that, you can draw more people in to relate to what you went through. Maybe even figure out how you might relate to even more people in terms of this issue of being misunderstood, or the people actually choose to see things in a different way and take you down. Thank you very much for a very, very interesting and engaging speech. And I look forward to seeing more of this speech because it's powerful and it needs to be out there. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Great. Thank you for that. Thank you for that great evaluation. So at this time, it does call for a 5-minute break. And it looks like we are a couple of minutes ahead of schedule. But I will just give us a 5-minute break. And at this point, we'll come back at my time, which is 6:43. So that would be 6:48. So we will come back together at 6:48. So take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Cynthia, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have an evaluation form you wanted to send me?
I did. It's on
Oh,
email.
okay. It's probably I was speaking and I didn't see it, so I'll go look for it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here we are. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Got it. Beautiful.
Awesome speech. Is that your contest speech? Are you going to be in the contest?
That's the one I'm working on.
Are you going to give it at a contest?
Yes. I told you that my group is on April 1st is when their contest is. And I get the chance to be an evaluator at one in Canada on the 28th.
I gave you misinformation. That's way too late.
I don't know.
The area contest, and it should be in March.
Well, I'll have to go online because I don't know.
Yeah, better look at it.
I got a lot of balls, so I'll check it out. Let me go print your paper out.
What do you want? And I'm just missing I can do I'll improvise, but I'm hoping they can send me.
a piece of paper and a pen in case there's something I need to write about.
I'm really enjoying your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael Robinson, for coming and visiting.
Thank you. I'm a very proud Toastmaster.
Toastmaster of the day, we have 10 seconds to restart. 5 minutes will be up.
Great, thank you for that.
How can I see myself on the big screen? What
I
view
will
do
spotlight you.
All right.
I will
5
see
minutes.
the timer?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I should be able to see that. Yes. Am I spotlighted now?
No, but I will.
Yeah, can you spotlight me now just so I can see?
You got it.
Then I'll situate myself. Okay. So am I in the middle?
You're in the middle. I'm wondering if you could get the light behind the laptop so you would come out brighter.
No, there is no light behind the laptop.
I mean, I could see you, but it would just be clear.
You can see better here.
Yeah,
that's so come back here and then come in. Oh, that's too. That glares. That. 2 steps. Can you see me okay here?
Yes. Okay. It is time to start the second half of the meeting. So at this time, I'm going to bring up the third evaluator for Cynthia's speech, and that will be Mary
Rosalind.
Thomas. Would you take the podium?
It's
No,
Rosalind.
Rosalind. Okay, Rosalind.
Okay. She is speaking from a storytelling speech, and this speech is to inspire the audience. Her goal is for the member to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires others, and to inform is for a member to inspire the audience. So it should be engaging, entertaining, and should be aware of audience response and adapt the speech as needed. If the member appears to be talking at the audience instead of interacting, he's not fulfilling. So she's supposed to be talking to us. Here we go.
Great, thank you. And Cynthia will be practicing her international speech. And the title of the speech is Once Upon a True Love Story. Cynthia, Once Upon a True Love Story. You have the podium.
Bring, 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 bring. That's odd. Dean, my husband was supposed to pick me up at the airport. Oh, well, I guess I'll just take a cab. Honey, I'm home. Are you still in bed, sleepyhead? I missed you so much. No. 8 years old. He had sleep apnea since he was in high school, but I didn't think it would give us troubles for 20 years. I was so in shock. I cried for 21 days. I cried till I had no more tears. I would drink water and then I could cry some more. And my father-in-law said, just pour it on your head and skip the middleman. Fellow Toastmasters, you're probably just as shocked as I am. But I'm here to give you hope. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and anyone who has ever lost a loved one and broken their heart. Grief is a process, not a life sentence. Let me take you back to 1998 when we first met. I met Dean, and I was actually dating someone else who I thought was my ideal man. He was tall, dark, handsome, and had a voice of an angel. Dean, on the other hand, he was blonde, blue-eyed, and he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. But when he sang to me with those eyes full of love, you are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? I fell head over heels in love with him. Every time he walked into a room, my face lit up like a morning glory flower. I was truly in love. He was my soulmate. And we actually got married in 1995. We went on a trip to Alaska on a cruise. And when we went to the courthouse, we had to swear that we were not related as far as we know. And Dean said, we may look like brother and sister, but I assure you, we are not. About a month before he died, he said to me, I hold you back. You can be so much more than you think you can. I couldn't see it. I could not see it. He wouldn't take no for an answer. And about a month after he died, I was driving home and I heard a voice in my head. It was Dean coming, yelling at me from beyond the grave. If you die, I will never forgive you. You must live. Wow. I couldn't believe it. How can I live? How can I be happy when Dean's gone? I had survivor's guilt. Maybe you felt that way before too. If you lost a loved one, how can you go on? How can you be happy without them? Well, I thought, I belong to a yoga group and they're having a self-discovery workshop. So I went. And if you were sitting on the floor next to me, you would have heard the instructor say, life is like a blank sheet of paper on which you draw. What do you want to draw? thought about it. Courage. I need courage. I was terrified of everything. I had 7 strong phobias. And in fact, 2 days after Dean died, I said, who's going to kill my spiders? I really was terrified of everything. And without Dean as my anchor, as my rock, as my confidence, how can I go on? So I went on a journey to find my courage. I became a primal scream instructor. And I hiked up mountains barefoot. I was hiking up a 3,500-foot mountain in Korea, this time with shoes on. And as I was walking down, I thought, what day is today? My friend said, April 4th, 2005. And I said, wow, 2 years since Dean died. And I had no fear, no sorrow. I was crying so much before, but I felt no tears today. All I felt was pride, and Dean's pride in me. He said, that's my woman. That's my wife. Oh, so if you've lost a loved one, a spouse, a parent, or even a child, if they truly loved you, they want you to go on. They want you to thrive, not just survive. I couldn't do it for myself at first. I had to do it for Dean until I could do it for myself. So maybe you need to do it for your loved one, because grief is a process, not a life sentence. Mr. Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you for that, Cynthia. Timer, would you please put 1 minute of silence for the guests and members to evaluate Cynthia's speech? Great, time is up. So now to evaluate our 4th speaker will be Cynthia Stott.
Oh.
Cynthia, would you let us know the objectives of DeMarie's speech?
Okay, just a sec. My handy dandy DeMarie. So DeMarie is speaking from the engaging humor path. And she is speaking on level 1, write a speech with a purpose. And her objectives, the purpose of this project is to learn or renew basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech of any type. The member completing the project is working to write a speech with purpose. The speech they create must be well written and clearly focused. The goal to meet the express purpose statement with a well-executed speech. The member will present a well-organized and well-delivered speech. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style the member chooses. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Dee Marie will be giving a speech. Actually, this is going to be a contest speech for Dee Marie. So the title of the speech, Put Up or Shut Up. Dee Marie, put up or shut up. Over to you.
Have you ever heard a voice inside your head that spoke so profoundly it caused you to stop in your tracks? I heard that sound in my head at a time in my life, and the voice simply said, put up or shut up. I want you to join me as we discover how the voices that we hear inside our head can change our day-to-day activities and may actually change the course of time. I want you to think back with me. It was August of 1963, the National Mall in Washington, D.C., where the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was actually struggling as he attempted to deliver a speech to this vast audience that had gathered on the National Mall. They were milling about, not really paying him that much attention. That is, until the late gospel singer, Mahalia Jackson, walked over to Dr. King and said, tell him about the dream. Tell him about the dream, Martin. I have a dream. I have a dream today, were the next words to come out of Dr. King's mouth. Now, I want you to visualize yourself being in that audience. And if you were, you would have noticed the hush that came over the crowd. They were paying him their undivided attention. As he completed his speech, he was constantly saying throughout that speech, I have a dream. That became his mantra. And history has recorded Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech as the greatest speech he ever gave, all because he decided to be obedient. My defining moment came at the lowest point in my entire existence. I had had my life spared in an automobile accident where I was pent behind the wheel, the motor was smoking, I was rendered unconscious. And when I regained consciousness, I could smell the fumes of the oil and gas coming up into the car from the motor. I do remember a police officer coming over and saying to me, 911 has been called and help is on the way. But I don't remember the loud crash that must have occurred when those two vehicles collided. I do remember tears streaming down my face as I cried. I could die. I could die. My car was careening off toward a huge metal telegram post. I pressed hard on the brake in order to stop the car, but to no avail. The diagnosis was a fractured right tibia. I would be home for 4 months during my recovery period. I remember going from a wheelchair to these crutches. And I remember thinking, at one point during my recovery, will I ever walk correctly again? Will I always be relegated to these crutches? But I'm here to tell you tonight that my right leg is healed and my gait and my stride are as good as ever. But one other thing happened during those 4 months when I was home. I was sitting at my dining room table, my leg out straight, doctor's orders, and I heard this voice say to me, put up or shut up. I didn't have to wonder what that meant because I wrote my first poem in the 7th grade. And throughout my life, I had said, I'm going to write a book. I am going to write a book. But getting married, having children, and going back to college as an adult left no time for writing a book. But now I'm home for 4 months. My kids are grown and married. I had no excuse. I decided to be obedient. I began to write the book, Glass Heart Forever Yours. And then I said, would God talk to me like that? Is he asking me to write a romance novel? But I pushed past those thoughts and I continued to write the book. I wrote the book, designed the cover, and today that book is on Amazon and I'm working to make it a bestseller. Glass Heart, Forever Yours. My next defining moment came 2 to 3 years after that. I entered a room on Clubhouse where the motivational speaker, Les Brown, was saying these words. If you know that God has performed a miracle in your life, that's the first thing you should say wherever you find yourself. Because by telling your story, you may help someone else tell their story. A light went off inside my head. I realized that I had suppressed the accident, the trauma, and the pain that went along with it. I had told no one. And I was not even actively promoting the book that I had self-published. I decided to be obedient. In promoting my book, I realized that God had another plan. As I spoke to audiences on Clubhouse and a live audio cast on LinkedIn, the audiences told me what the book was saying. They said with the scourge of deaths, the isolation, and the social distancing brought about by COVID-19, my book represented hope. It was amazing. I did not see that coming. They saw the book as a return to love and romance. My simple advice to you today, stop making excuses. Stop putting off for tomorrow the things that you can do today. Because the voice that you hear inside your head may come as a whisper. Tell them about the dream. Tell them about the dream, Martin, as it did for Dr. King. Or it may come as a loud, clear set of instructions. Put up or shut up, as it did in my case. But regardless as to how that voice comes to you, when you hear the voice inside your head, if you consider it your conscience or a message from on high, heed that voice, listen to what it says, and by all means, be obedient. Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you for that speech, Dee Marie. Excellent. Timer, would you give us 1 minute on the clock for the evaluator? Great, thank you for that. Now I would like to throw the meeting back over to our general evaluator.
Yeah.
Yes, you have the podium.
Thank you, Toastmaster Isaac, for transferring the virtual lecture to me. So now we'll get into the evaluations for the second batch of speakers, the second two. So I will call upon the evaluator to give us an evaluation for Toastmaster Cynthia's contest speech.
Hi, this is Rosalind Kahn, and I'm going to be evaluating Cynthia's speech. And Cynthia's speech was to establish a story, a real life story, and to make sure that she didn't appear to be talking, but interacting with them. And as we all know, we're on screens here, so it's kind of hard to know whether she was interacting because it's a screen that we have. But I thought it was an incredible talk from the get-go. as soon as she opened up that speech and she talked about that love and she recreated that story and, oh my God, what could have happened? And I love you. And he wasn't there and shock. And she brought it back in and she held the quiet as if she had us on the grips of a thriller story. I mean, I was truly taken in, and hearing of the story of who was gone and who was going to kill the spiders. Oh, I could have been with that one. I want to know who's going to kill my spiders. Oh my God. And she had 7 fears. I was waiting to hear one of those fears was public speaking, but we didn't get to that. But I loved how in your speech, there were these voices that you brought out, that you were driving and you heard this voice from somewhere and it was, there he was, live my life. Oh my God, what is it that I need to go ahead and do? And you brought us there light and full focus. I love the stories that you had gone ahead and shared with us. And you were really good at coming in on grief as a process, not a life sentence, and starting with us and taking us through the path. But there were so many jewels that you dropped along the way as you took those 7 fears and you worked through them, and how you took those terrors and to the point that it was 2 years to the day and suddenly you realized you were free and there was no tears to be cried anymore because you'd overcome it, which takes me back to the beginning when your father said you had so much water and he just dump a pail of water over you. You had those little bits of humor, and it's kind of like a well-tuned orchestra. You were able to carry us. You could see the sounds of the harp going ahead and going as you pulled us in and as you took us out. We can see why you're such a truly fine speaker. And it's very polished. And I'd have a hard time of finding anything to say that you could improve upon, because it was so well from the very beginning to the very end. And as I listen to each and all the speeches that we've heard in tonight's contest speech, I can see your imprint on how you've made all of us to the success that we are. And so I want to thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rosalind, for that evaluation, effective evaluation. Now can we get the evaluator for Toastmaster DeMarie's
You want to bring a chair?
contest speech? Did I made a mistake?
Cynthia Stott. You ready?
Oh, yes, the evaluator for
I am
Cynthia Stott.
I'm evaluating DeMarie.
Oh,
That
okay,
was
got it.
very engaging. Am I ready? Am I on?
Yes.
You're good now, Cynthia.
Okay, great. That was very engaging, DeMarie. I loved how your voice is so compelling and very matter of fact and very commanding, not quite demanding, but like, you got this. You got this. So I loved how you shared the story. I loved all the details. You talked about your leg with, you couldn't stop the car. You know, it was very compelling. What you might want to do is start the story with, or at least make sure you have a focus on the story, that you're pressing on the brake and careening against toward the telephone pole, so that we feel more engaged with that. I loved how you opened with Dr. King, though. That was very special. One thing, I didn't know where you were looking. You were looking off to the side most of the time, and then sometimes you came directly into the camera with us. And that was really good, especially the voice of God. Put up or shut up. And really look at the camera. That would be really great. And to make your voice of God more commanding, because you have it in you. You absolutely have a commanding voice in it. Were you in the military? I really feel that military presence in your demeanor, in your voice, and you can bring it out. Wonderful. Let's see, was there anything else I could share? I think more animation more engagement, more passion, more movement that is compelling would really help us, because this is going to be an amazing speech. I know you're giving your speech for your contest on Saturday, and so am I. And Rosalind is giving it, and Michelle is giving it. We're all champions here in different districts all around the world. So it's wonderful that you're giving this as your contest speech. I think it also has abilities to be a TEDx speech. There's portions of it that you can bring out and really make an idea worth spreading. So I think you'd be really good at your TEDx speech here. And the only thing is to more speak to us, speak into the camera. Even when you're back, look at that camera. I'm not positioned well here. Look into the camera, dead center. And this is an amazing contest speech. You're going to knock it out of the park. Thank you, Dee Marie. Back to you, Tate.
Great. Thank you for that evaluation. Well, I'm glad I'm not going to be judging these speeches because you all are winners. I thought all the speeches were excellent. Now, as I set the topic of Black history, I thought I would throw in another little tidbit. Born in 1924, Shirley Chisholm was many things. She was a nursery school teacher, author, and the first Black congresswoman in 1972. Perhaps the most impressive thing, she was the first major party candidate to run for president of the United States. Although she had to fight to be included in the primaries. So on what would have been her 95th birthday this year, I want to remind people of her legacy. And one of the quotes that she gave, I like that quote. It said, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair.
Move over.
So as you can see, that is a great quote from a great, fantastic lady. So now at this point, we are going to bring the fun part, which is to me most challenging. And that's going to be to call on you for a impromptu speech. And tonight, our table topics master or mistress is Cynthia Stott. Cynthia, take the virtual lectern.
Thank you, Isaac. I have 3 roles tonight. Wow. So Black history is our theme. And I know you're not supposed to do this. It's supposed to be impromptu, but I would like to call on Dee Marie because she has a wonderful story about Black history. And then also because a TEDx is #1 in my heart. And I want to give an idea worth spreading. And one of the ideas, I think, for Black History Month is African American or Black American history is American history. And all Americans need to hear from people about these stories that like we're hearing tonight. And I have a friend that lives in Washington, D.C., and she's a tour guide. And she's African American, and she learned the African American tour. And she thought she would fold that into her regular tour. But one of the white attendees said, if I wanted a Black history tour, I would have bought it. And I think that's bunk. Mm-hmm. Because Black history is American history. It's for all of us. So Dee Marie, would you like to share with us for 2 minutes your story of history?
Oh my goodness. I do share Cynthia's feelings and beliefs that Black history is the history of this nation and this country. So it's American history. And I say that because my grandfather served in World War I. He was part of the Harlem Hellfighters. Very few people may know about them, but it was the 369th National Guard unit out of New York. And the Germans nicknamed them the Harlem Hellfighters because they were so ferocious in their pursuit of the target that they were given. They were deployed to France on an actual kamikaze mission, in my opinion. 2,000 men were sent, 1,500 were killed on the front line before the battle was over. But they made such a phenomenal name for themselves. They received France's highest honor, which was the Croix de Guerre. My grandfather received that medal. That's the highest honor that France gives because they fought so valiantly. It took 100 years because in August of 2021, President Biden gave that whole regiment the Congressional Medal of Honor for the victories that they brought when they were in France. I can't imagine what he went through. I can only say that because of what they did, the relations between France and the United States remained on a high level. The diplomatic relationship was great because these men went over and defended France and fought as though they were fighting for America. And in fact, they were. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Wonderful. Wow, that bit of history. And I think that definitely could be a TED Talk with an idea worth spreading. Now, I have one more shill that I put in, and it's actually Sally Reyes. She had a story that goes along with Dee Marie's story about a song. Sally?
Thank you. I was being driven to a special study by a professional driver, and I was complimenting him on his wonderful driving. I never had to worry about where the crazy drivers were because he was always not in that lane. And we got to talking about music, and he said, "Oh yes, I love music." And so I asked him what was his favorite song, and he said, "Well, I was with some people recently, and I played Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit." And I said, "Do you know what Strange Fruit from the poplar tree is all about?" And he said, "Well, no, because poplar trees don't have fruit specifically." I said, "Yes, but the reality was that at least 9 people were lynched in that tree. I think they might have even gotten like 12, but there was a horrible thing that happened, got out of hand, and they just felt relief by tying these people to the tree." And when Billie Holiday sings that song, which he played in our car, would bring you to tears. And she has such a deep connection to her rough history and a way of translating it to us that we'll never forget. And he did not know that people were the strange fruit. And I was so affected by that and will continue to be reminded of the horrible things that have happened in the struggles that we have had to see people's equality and value expressed and demanded. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And Dee Marie had told me that when those soldiers came back from World War I, they were not celebrated in America. They did not march in the parades. And in fact, many of them were sought out and lynched. Terrible, terrible. So we have room for one more speaker. Would any of our guests like to share a story? And if you don't have an African-American story, you can talk about history, something that you think is important that we should know, that possibly will become your TEDx speech. your idea worth spreading. And Mr. Toastmaster, can you see any raised hands other than Timer Mary Thomas?
No, I don't see any of the hands, but I think that's probably pretty hard to follow. What we
Hmm.
just heard. Oh, yes, Carol. Carolyn Douglas has her hand up.
Douglas, yay! Our
Thank you
district.
Thank you so much. It's with great pleasure that I share just a few thoughts. One of the Black theologians that I enjoy reading is Howard Thurman. He's now passed. But Howard Thurman identified something that went to the very core of folks that attend church. You know what I'm talking about. Sunday morning, everybody goes to church. He identified that Sunday, the one day of the week when people go to church, is the most segregated day of the week because people go to the church and sit with the congregation or the people that are most like them. Black people in Black churches, white people in white churches. So yes, we can look around many of our churches now and we see mixed congregations, but we can also look into our schools and we will see integrated schools where Black children sit with Black children, white children sit with white children, Asian children sit with Asian children, and so on. And what he reminds us is that since we're walking this path of spirit, it is a path of love, and that segregation is not showing love for all people. Therefore, he encourages us to think again that we are helpers one to another and that we can show love to one another and not worry about race, not worry about the color of one's skin. He encourages all of us to rise to that higher level of thinking and being and doing. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Bravo! Woo! Absolutely. And tabletop Toastmaster of the day, are we finished or do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we actually have time for one more.
Hayes, you had your hand up. Yeah, please.
1 second. Let me lower my hand. Right. Okay, good evening, fellow Toastmasters, Table Topic Master. On the topic of Black history, I am Black. I'm from the Caribbean, but our history is very different. The struggle has been different, and the struggle isn't as severe as the stories that we hear in places like America. But I'm not an expert at Black history, but what stands out with me is the story of Rosa Parks. And the story of Rosa Parks was that they refused to go on the bus. I think it was 365 days or 395 days, some type of number like that. And that touched me because we locally, if we protest, we don't unite properly. We don't come together properly, but they came together that period of time and they walked for miles. They didn't go on the bus, they carpooled, and I find that very touching. So no matter how bad our struggles in life are, we could come together, work together, go through the sacrifice, and better will come, or we will prosper. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Wow. Thank you so much, Taze. That has been just amazing. 4 amazing speeches. We don't vote in this club. We're going to get our act together and do voting probably in a couple of months as we're getting prepared for our TEDx event, because we will have voting for that. But thank you so much. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Great, thank you for that. Actually, I'll throw it back to the general evaluator to call on our functionaries to see how they did tonight.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Isaac. The lectern is mine. So I will take the moment to call on, as you said, functionaries. So I'll call on, could we get a report from our timer? Timer, you there?
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. Thank you, General Evaluator Tace. I'll start with the speakers. First speaker, Michelle Petticolas. She inspired us for 7 minutes and 51 seconds. Speaker 2, Rosalind Khan, shared her passion for 6 minutes, 9 seconds. Cynthia Stott, speaker 3, told us about her journey for 7 minutes, 31 seconds. Speaker number 4, our final speaker, DeMarie King, delivered a speech with purpose for 6 minutes, 55 seconds. Coming to the evaluators, evaluator 1, DeMarie King, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Evaluator 2, Michelle Petticolas, 3 minutes, 22 seconds. Evaluator 3, Rosalind Khan, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Evaluator 4, Cynthia Stott, 3 minutes, 14 seconds. And finally, the third segment, table topics, Black History Month. Speaker 1, DeMarie King, 1 minute, 46 seconds. Speaker 2, Sally Reyes, 2 minutes, 5 seconds. Speaker 3, Carolyn Douglas, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. And the last speaker, speaker 4, Tace McLeod, 1 minute, 22 seconds. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that timer's report, Toastmaster Mary. Now, I'll ask for our report from our accountant and our grammarian, who happens to be the same person tonight.
It's always the same person. Whoever does it. Those are both our choices, and our word of the day was authentic. I don't think I picked it up at all. I'm sorry. But we had such fantastic speakers today. I loved that Michelle, I think, used purgatory. I thought that was a terrific word. And Cynthia skipped the middleman. I love her expression and throw it in the bucket and survivor's guilt. I like those combinations which draw a lot of attention. We have our own meanings to these special sayings, and I think it brings it deeper listening to the stories with these expressions. And I love the word obedient. And I think picking up these words in put up or shut up are very effective and stay in your mind a long time. So keep working on the importance of those fantastic sayings that bring the listener in further to the importance of the speech ideal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Did you do the 2-in-1?
All counting. Any Oz?
There were no Oz. I mean, we were talking about professional people. There was nothing to criticize.
No
Only
filler words.
special. I can bring this only because these were special uses by people that are going to send them to the winning circle. And I wanted to bring that to their attention because the accidents are not there right now.
Okay. All right. That's good to hear. Professional people in here. Professional people here. So sorry. So now I would like for us, that would be it for functionaries. So I will get into my report as the general evaluator for tonight's meeting. So firstly, I want to start off with this. The early bird catches the worm.
Yeah.
And you guys in Leaders Worldwide are early birds. Early birds, y'all did well. Y'all were here a whole half an hour before, and y'all got things rolling. And that's an excellent example or excellent first impression for any guest that almost everyone was here, and y'all were ticking off who's here, who did this role, who should be replaced. And I ended up getting the role of general evaluator. So I want to congratulate y'all for starting so early or punctual. That's wonderful. But you guys are not just birds. You guys are eagles. And you all demonstrated that in tonight's meeting. So that's great. That's great from my opinion. So I'll start off now with the Toastmaster of the meeting. That was Toastmaster Isaac. The theme of the meeting was Black History Month. Now, every club do things a bit differently. What I would have liked is if Toastmaster Isaac could have spoke a bit more about Black History Month at the beginning. I am not overly familiar with Black History Month from an American perspective, and as the Toastmaster of the meeting, it gives you the opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to speak. All the different rules provide you with a speaking opportunity to speak, and I would have loved to hear more about that topic and about the lady who invented the telephone, because as far as I know, I think Thomas Edison invented the telephone, but you are giving a different story about someone else had a contribution to it. And I think it would have been nice if you could have given us 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes more on that topic. But job well done. I noticed that you continue talking about it throughout the meeting, and that's a nice variation or a nice addition, a nice touch. So that was good. One thing I think that could be implemented is the visibility of the word of the day. The word of the day, I can't remember what the word of the day was, but if it authentic, right? If the word authentic was more visible a bit intermittently, it would have reminded me and us what the word of the day was, and then we would have tried to use it in our responses. We'd have tried to use it in the table topics, and I would have tried to. So I just would like to suggest maybe the word of the day could be a little more visible. I personally want to give a round of applause to all the prepared speakers. All of them turned out to be women. And I love what I saw. Now, where I'm from a small Caribbean island. Please don't quote me to other women from where I'm from. But back home, a lot of the women, they like the leadership side or the leadership track of the program. So they are very passionate about the leadership, the managerial. They work extremely hard behind the scenes. They go all out. But they don't have the confidence I saw with you guys. They don't have the composure. They don't have the boldness, the courage, your gestures, your comfort. I love what I saw. I love the level. Excellent storytelling. I am not used to seeing female speakers speak the way you guys did today. I love I love your speeches. I love what I saw. And don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to flirt with anybody. I'm not trying to make a move on anyone. Right? But I am impressed. Y'all are a good batch of speakers. And I want to compare you all to athletes. And you guys, it's clearly evident that you're training, you're practicing, you're applying, and you mean business. And this is moving to me. Because like I said, the women back home, they are passionate, but they're more like to be behind the scene, lead from behind type of thing. Whereas you guys are in front. You guys are in front. And I love seeing this. I love seeing that. Excellent speeches. I don't want to get into all the different speakers, which I do sometimes, but I wouldn't do that, maybe because of interest of time. And as you said, you didn't hear any filler words, and that's excellent. Because back home, we get filler words. Back home, we get a lot of, some people, we don't always speak standard English at home. So back home, we get speakers get into the dialect, and then we have to remind them, try to use it less. So that wasn't an issue here either. So I am impressed. I'm happy to get the opportunity to be general evaluator. It was a substitute role, a last minute role, and job well done. Just maybe pay attention to making the word of the day more visible. And that will be my report as the general evaluator for tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Bravo.
Isaac, can I do just one thing to assist Taze, if I may?
Sure.
Yes.
I will take 1 minute, Taze, and tell you that Negro History Month has not always been Negro History Month. This occasion was founded by Carter G. Woodson in 1926. He was one of the first 2 Black men that graduated from Harvard with a PhD. And when he founded Negro History Week, which is what it was first called, and of course the schools were segregated, it was so that the Black schools would be able to honor the achievements of Black people. Then in 1976, they upgraded Negro History Week to Negro History Month, and that's why we have it now. February is the shortest month of the year, and a lot of people marvel at that, but that is what was decided to be Negro History Month. And it started by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who was a Black philosopher. He studied Black history and came up with the idea of Negro History Week first. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's celebrated in the US and also in Canada.
Great. Okay, at this time, I'm going to bring up the VPE, Kathleen, to let us know what spots we need to fill for our next meeting.
Our next meeting at this time slot is the 6th of March, and all roles are open. We have speakers evaluators, general evaluator, Toastmaster, timer, and who is interested in taking a job? I see hands. What would you like? Cynthia, I saw your hand up.
Actually going to celebrate Women's History Month and the what is it called? International Women's Day is the 8th. And so we're going to celebrate that on the 6th. And Carrie Kelly will be taking a speaking opportunity.
Okay.
And we're going to give a special thing in the VPPR department. Our flyer maker, that's also from Trinidad, she will be featuring the 4 speakers with their photos on the flyer.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very attractive. Who would like to put their name on the flyer? And by the way, Dee Marie, I saw your hand. What would you like to do?
I will be a speaker.
Okay.
Great. And evaluate at the same time?
That would be great.
Of course, Cynthia.
Okay. And I'll ask Carrie too as well. So put Carrie down as both the speaker and an evaluator, because she's in our TEDx breakout room, so she knows how to do that. Even though she's legally blind, she can do that.
Of
Great.
course.
Who else wants to be a speaker?
Yeah. And may I see some more hands? May I see some more volunteers for, we have speaker evaluator, general evaluator, timer, Toastmaster of the meeting, table topics. Ah, thank you, Michelle. What would you like to do?
I was thinking I'd be the table topics master.
All
And if you
right.
need an evaluator, I could also be an evaluator.
Of course, we need your beautiful evaluations. Thank you, Michelle. Wonderful. Rosalind, what do you think? Would you like to step up to
How about
do
Toastmaster of the day?
that's you are so bubbly, Rosalind, that I think you
Great.
Sure, I'll be the Toastmaster of the day.
wonderful.
You can talk about International Women's Day, like
Oh,
type
yes.
suggested.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yes. Taze, I loved your commentary and your evaluation and your encouragement and your points to improve. Thank you very much for being our honored guest evaluator.
We have
Can I
one
just-
spot, right?
I'm sorry?
We have one more speaking spot, just 3. So we have one more. Is that right? Did I do
I
the math?
I see only 2 here, 2 speakers here.
Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly will be a
Mary
speaker.
Kelly, Dee Marie.
Dee Marie and oh,
So who else should we put on the roster here?
Taze! Yeah. We need some men to hold up the other half of the sky and celebrate women.
Isaac.
Oh yeah, that's fabulous.
Okay, well, whatever you need, Kathleen.
Well, would you care to do a speech, sir? Or you could also be a timer. We need we need a timer.
Well,
What
you
do
know what? I'll do a speech
I love that.
and evaluate.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
There's one more speaking spot. And you'll evaluate too, Isaac?
Yes,
Yeah.
he already volunteered. Like the stand-up kind of guy he is.
Yes.
Okay, a timer. Who would like to serve as timer on March 6th?
We have Isaac can train you on being a timer. He's our timer trainer. Oh, I think Alex volunteered to be a speaker on the 6th because he can't be here next week on the 27th. So I think he volunteered to be a speaker.
Okay, well, we have Carrie, Dee Marie, Isaac, and Alex.
Alex, yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Do you want to take the role? Can you be here again at this time?
Tuesday, what time is your meeting? Next meeting, what time?
It's March 6th at 5:30 p.m. We start with the organizing everybody and global networking, and we end at 8 p.m. our time.
And where are you?
Malaysia.
Sorry,
I'm in
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay, if it's the same time, I'm okay.
Oh,
I'm
good.
okay. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
okay to
good. No, we need
raising her hand too.
the timer.
oh, you'd be a timer. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll do that.
And
Rosalind, what were you saying?
I think Rosalind was saying goodbye. She already took the Toastmasters role, so she's done.
Okay.
all right.
Evaluator?
Do we have anybody who would like to visit and be a general evaluator?
Any of our Toastmasters?
Okay, well, I'm not going to hang you by your ankles and shake you upside down. So. Okay, well, I had fun and I thank you very much for stepping up and pulling our little donkey cart along. And I will turn it back to our past president for takeaways and announcements.
Woohoo! My favorite part. I would love to hear from our guests. What are you taking away from this meeting? We just have a couple minutes left here. I can't see hands, so Isaac, if you can help me with hands.
Well, no hands, but we got a few guests. So you want me to just call out their names?
Yeah, please.
Okay. How about Michael Robertson? If you could,
Yeah. What did you think of the meeting?
you are muted, Michael.
It was a wonderful meeting. Thanks for having me. And someday I would like to do my no more BS speech in your club whenever it's convenient. It's not what you're thinking, but it means no more brain surgery.
Oh, love it. Love it. And it's a tradition here to give away virtual chocolates. No sugar, no calories, no guilt.
Sorry, I can't have chocolate.
What was that?
I can't have any chocolate.
What is your favorite dessert? Peach cobbler is really, really popular with Isaac. I got virtual everything here for you, or a milkshake, or a cake. No calories.
No, whenever it's convenient, I would like to do my no more BS speech.
So we'll talk about it offline. Michael, I'm not on text because I'm not on the screen, but Michael, can you put your you're in Canada?
Yes.
So your text phone with the area code and
Sure. Or you can send me by email. That's better than phone.
Okay, if you can put the email in it, and then if somebody can take that down for me and send it to me in a text, maybe Michelle?
I'll just send it to you through here.
You can't, because I'm not on. Please put it to everyone.
Sure.
And then Michelle, can you take is Michelle here?
Yes.
I'm here, Cynthia. Yes, I can take it.
Yeah, that would be great. And then I'll contact him. Yeah. And any more guests?
Yes, we have a guest, Luim.
Luim, yay! What did you think, Luim? Luim is my mentee, English language, and she's going to be joining a Toastmasters club in Oakland, Uptown, and Sally is going to sponsor her. So we're so excited to have her here. So Luim, what did you think of tonight?
Okay, thank you so much. Today's meeting was so amazing and I've learned a lot. And here in my country, we don't have the Black History Month celebration, but we do have Indian, which is also Black. And all of the people here are awesome. And with that, I would like to say, love each other with authentic love, regardless of who we are. Thank you.
Beautiful. And you used our word of the day. Oh my gosh. What chocolate would you like, or dessert would you like?
Maybe next time.
Like what?
I didn't get you.
Would you like a chocolate?
Yeah, I want more chocolate.
More chocolate. Box of chocolate. Okay, I'm standing up so I can go and get my box here. Oh, it's big, and it's heart-shaped. Here it comes. Woo!
Thank you.
Hey,
thank you, Leah.
Thank you.
Okay. We have another guest, Sabria Musa.
Sabaraya. Sabaraya, how did you enjoy the meeting? What were your thoughts?
And you are muted, sir. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Sorry, I enjoyed today. I am also learning at the same time. My international speech contest is this evening. It will happen in yeah, yeah, and yeah. I'm doing something like what Dee Marie just spoke about. It's about affirmative, positive thinking. That's what I'm doing it today. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you were inspired by all of us doing our contest speech.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And what dessert would you like? Chocolate or?
I'm into dark chocolates.
Dark chocolate. Do you want any sea salt on them? Or
Oh, yeah.
almond?
All the nuts and
All the nuts. All the nuts. Okay, all the nuts. Here you go. And it's really good for hormones too, and a PMS cure. Just bear that in mind. So here it comes. Dark chocolate and tons of nuts. Woo!
Thank you, calorie free. Thanks, Cynthia. Thank you, everybody, for having me here.
Thank you
And
for being.
I would
And
like
good
to say,
timer.
Cynthia, let me say this. I have my very first president in Toastmasters was about like 30 over years ago, and she's Dr. Mary Thomas. She's here. Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah.
Sabaria always remembers me. Amazing.
Of course, the very first president, my first president, the lovely Lady Mary. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome. So it's 2 minutes to, so we're gonna say goodnight. And wow, that was an amazing contest. I went through a lot to get here physically, so I was kind of tired, but it was amazing that we had 4 contestants tonight. I didn't even imagine that we were putting all together. I knew I was doing mine, but individually we were all doing them. And we're going to be winning our contests around the world. And I hope that we will meet at the semifinals in the Bahamas. Awesome. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Good morning.
Have a great night. Thank you.
And Isaac, Dee Marie and I are going to stay